in terms of any sort of tax credits or policies that the individual states have, they basically address the decarbonization megatrend, which most investors tend to look at us as a participant in, which is accurate. But what most investors don't yet understand is that we're also a huge play on the decentralization trend, which is another megatrend.
So when you look at your drawing board and you begin to list your competitive advantage, right? You're going into a marketplace. I hate to say it's like boiling the ocean, but you are breaking new ground. You are educating people who are comfortable in their lives and saying there is a better way of living, right? I know all about that. That's very hard sell, right? And then there is competition. So how do you, I guess I want to ask about your competitive advantage, and I also want to ask about your main sales driver. What have you, as you have analyzed? I understand you have more than 100,000 customers now, right? As you have looked at these 100,000 deals that you have done, what is the compelling sales driver that gets a customer to sign on the dotted line? When does that happen? What drivers have you used? And then how do you make sure that the competitor, I mean, the customer doesn't go, thank you for educating me, let me call your competitor and give them my business, right? So how do you manage both aspects of this?
Well, so I'll answer the last one first. Yeah, we look, when I started the company, I wanted to deliver a better energy service at a better price.
Yes.
And now with storage, I can fulfill that. And obviously other technologies are coming about that I made mention, integration of gensets, load managers, EV chargers, et cetera. And more, in terms of any sort of tax credits or policies that the individual states have, they basically address the decarbonization megatrend, which most investors tend to look at us as a participant in, which is accurate. But what most investors don't yet understand is that we're also a huge play on the decentralization trend, which is another megatrend.
Yes.
And simply put, the pandemic accelerated possibly the first one, decarbonization, but definitely the second one.
Yes.
More people working from home was now suddenly become very intolerant of any sort of power outage whatsoever. And those power outages are increasing in frequency. Some of that is the utility's fault for underinvestment and over the years, and some of it's not. And then we can get in debate on these weather events, like what happened here in Texas in February, for instance. Is that induced by climate change? I think it is. But what I've definitely seen, particularly this year, particularly since February, is that more and more people are coming to the conclusion that the next unprecedented natural disaster will not be unprecedented. There will be another precedent that will be set. And sometimes it's even worse. And it's not necessarily the same. Hurricane, flooding, snow, cold snap that lasts a week, and so forth. So all this is leading to a very powerful second trend, pardon the pun, with consumers saying, I want the generation away from the utility on my house, and I want that power more secured. And that's where we come in. That is driving more and more of our sales literally every single day.
Actually, that's a great point. I had hosted at the Houston Strategy Forum, CEO of a Fortune 500 company, a utility company here in Houston. And this was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. And I'd asked him, I said, I see the trend of solar and decentralization, people generating their own electricity. What is that going to do to your company, right? And has your board talked about this? He didn't have an answer for it. And that completely surprised me, right? You are the disruptor for power distribution and for power generation, because now you're bringing it to where people are living, right? But how does, so, you people are understanding, people now have a need. They begin to recognize as they work from home that they need more reliable power, right? And so that, but as you look at your sales process and you say, okay, these are the drivers, right? You have a customer who is sometimes on the fence. Um, Actually, let me ask you, how big is yours? How is your sales effort constructed? Is that, do you have direct salespeople? You have indirect salespeople? Who does the selling of your systems and services?
Well, like AT&T Cellular or ADT, the home security company, or DirecTV, satellite cable television, we operate through dealers, and that they're independently owned and operated contractors that
Okay.
go and originate on our behalf and install our equipment on our behalf. And more and more of them are doing so on an exclusive basis. Then we have the people on staff to, just like a utility, to roll around in trucks and fix things when they go wrong in our service
Yes.
territories.
Okay.
And then we also have the staff on the payroll that answers the phones and so forth and takes care of the customer. So again, we're a service provider. We do have the ability to have direct sales, but those direct sales, at least in the foreseeable future, are really exclusive to service only customers. So those customers that got, quote, financed by somebody else, a competitor, but didn't sign up for the service. Now things are breaking when they were told that nothing would ever go wrong because there's no moving parts.
Yes.
And they're signing up for us. And that trend is really accelerating for us in terms of sales. The next one is going back to our existing solar only customers and upselling them storage.
Upselling.
And
Okay.
soon now we'll upsell generators and load managers and EV charging. And there's a lot there to do. And so that direct sales desk does that. And then we take that install that we need to happen and put it into our dealer network. And some of our dealers do only selling, and some
Yes.
of our dealers do only installing. And so we would take that direct sale and put it to an install only
And how
dealer.
many dealers do you have in your network?
Well, we're about to report earnings in a couple of weeks, and so we'll give an update. But as of 3/31, we had just over 500 dealers and
Okay.
sub-dealers in our network, and we did set a goal for ourselves to double that to 1,000 by the end of next year.
Okay. Okay. I guess that becomes your growth engine. The more dealers you have in your network, the more they are able to go out and sell. Um, but how do you track the pulse? How do you, among your 500 dealers, some dealers are generating 80% of the business, right? I don't know if that's 20% of the dealers or how your distribution is, but there must be some best practices that the more successful dealers are using. What pulse, I'm trying to understand, what is that pulse of consumers? What is that? I read on your website, it says that homes that have solar installation are valued 4% higher, right? And so I keep thinking about that. What is it that convinces a homeowner, whether in a difficult market like Houston or in Puerto Rico, that this is something they must do and this is something they must do immediately?
Well, it goes back to what I was saying is, if you can deliver a better service at a better price in a free market, you win, right?
Yes.
And so what we've been doing historically with solar only is just delivering a better price than the monopoly could do.
Yes. Okay.
And then that spreading as solar panel costs went down and inverter costs went down and all the other pieces and components and so forth went down, then that spread to other and now practically all regions of the country. The next piece is the battery, which gives you a better service than what the monopoly can provide.
Better reliability. Yes.
And that is also a cost equation where it starts out in Hawaii and Puerto Rico and California, where you have very high prices. And as the battery cost continues to drop, that'll open up more and more territories across the United States.
Yes.
And so, again, what we have seen over the past, certainly this 6 months of this year, but even last year, in the depths of the pandemic, so let's call it the last year, is more and more people were coming in and going, well, if I can get reliability and resiliency with a battery and still save money, then I'll do it to I actually care more about the reliability and resiliency, and I'll actually pay more, just as if you would add a generator and you stayed on the grid or primarily on the grid. And that's now starting to flip. Now, of course, in these markets like Hawaii and so forth, that where you can come in and today deliver a better energy service at a better price, again, why as a consumer would you not sign up for that? Right. I mean, it's not like you can say, I've decided this month that I'm not going to buy power for the home at all. You know, it's not Starbucks. You need it. So I think that's where we have a very powerful offering, a very compelling offering, value proposition for the consumer is as we follow this deflationary cost curve in the technology, more and more consumers, it becomes very much a no-brainer for them to sign up.
Yes, very good.